The views and opinions expressed by the guest and presenters of Radio Al Ansar are not necessarily the views and opinions of Radio Al Ansar and the Al Ansar Foundation.
Where do we go from here? Look up to the sky, so many shades of you. Painted day and night, the beauty of this life, a reflection of you and I, created in different nations and tribes, so we can unite. Hopping on these planes, got my people in all these places. Passports there running out of pages. Linked up with my family, even though we ain't from the same side of the sea. Tribe different than them, we ain't got the same team. One body, one love, if we bleed it all bleed. Say one life, you take humanity. Let's celebrate humanity.
All our differences make us unique. Beauty, love, and scars that run deep. But if we don't open up our eyes, we will never see that this bond is more than skin deep. All we got is love, all we want is peace. One nation under God, look up and see. Maybe then we'll finally believe. Adam to infinity, we are humanity. Love is the remedy. The devil turning friends and enemies. All we want is that peace and serenity. Steady praying for these on humanity. Cause we're more united than divided. So put the guns down, no more fighting. Let's embrace and make a change. Celebrate humanity.
Tune in to the Feel Good Friday with Bibi, Amina, Phili.
It's finally Friday again. Assalamu alaikum.
From South Africa to the world.
Let's go.
Don't miss out on Friday afternoon vibes like no other. Put it on and leave it on. Join us for inspiration and positivity from trailblazing guests to topics you want to hear. Your Friday just got better. Let's make the end of the week better together. Feel Good Friday with Bibi, Amina, Phili. Young, fresh and trending.
An informative Islamic global perspective. This is Al Ansar News.
Making news this hour, the 18th of April, the news from Durban 90.4 FM, Pietermaritzburg 105.6 FM. N3 traffic is blamed on track accidents and breakdowns. America Monina. The KwaZulu-Natal Transport Department has attributed traffic delays on the N3 at the start of the Easter weekend to accidents and mechanical failures involving trucks. Reports says there has been an influx of travelers coming into KwaZulu-Natal for the long weekend. The N3 toll concessions reporting that there are about 1,000 vehicles moving through the tolls. However, 2 accidents involving trucks near the Town Hill area after midnight caused major delays. KwaZulu-Natal Transport spokesperson Dabi Zintlesbia says they have since held a meeting with key stakeholders, including the SA Freight Association, regarding accidents. More news then come to Wesizwe Party MK has won its first ward in eThekwini Metro. This comes after the party defeated the Democratic Alliance in a by-election that was held in Mount Moriah, Sunningdale. The DA previously ran the ward, which is in the northern part of Durban. Bongani Baloyi is MK party election head. He wades in.
Listen, this is not an easy defeat to swallow. This has been historically a DA-run ward where they take pride in how they've attempted to govern this ward and how no other party will dethrone them. For the first time, what Mkhonto Sizwe is demonstrating is that we're effectively have the capacity and capability to take a ward from the Democratic Alliance, which is the first time in the country where they face an opponent who has the capacity. So not only is the Democratic Alliance under threat, the ANC is under threat. everybody is under threat. Umkhonto Sizwe is going to take everything in this country in terms of all the wards and ensure that we govern and avoid this unfortunate situation of coalitions. So people are starting to realize that Umkhonto Sizwe is the only credible alternative that can actually dethrone the Democratic Alliance and the African National Congress. So for them, it's just crocodile tears. They must accept it, shame that Umkhonto Sizwe has taken a award.
Your weather 21 degrees. A quick reminder of our top story. KwaZulu-Natal Transport Department has attributed traffic delays on the N3 at the start of the Easter weekend to accidents and mechanical failures involving trucks. That's the news.
Sunnah a Day, proudly brought to you by Sunpick, 100% pure sunflower cooking oil. Sunpick, cook more with less. Sunnah a Day, proudly brought to you by Sunpick, 100% pure sunflower cooking oil. Sunpick, cook more with less.
Imagine this. You're putting together a 7-color meal, from the creamy pasta to the glazed carrots and flavorful onion gravy. This entire meal is made with our 100% pure extra virgin olive oil from our La Familia range, bringing outstanding quality and taste to your kitchen. Shop La Familia 100% pure extra virgin olive oil at any leading supermarkets near you. La Familia, heart of the home.
Pack your bags for an amazing tour to magical Iran. Yes, it's a real eye-opener on many levels. Shiraz, Isfahan, Tehran, lovely, vibrant cities, spectacular palaces, manicured gardens, and beautiful parks. Very friendly people. If you see someone running, it's a South African running to buy bags to fill with the incredible shopping. Yes, shopping is crazy. The guides and the hotels are excellent. Seats are selling out fast. Departure is the 21st May. Call or WhatsApp AB Dowji on 082-352-3526. The word is Maja.
Calling all vendors, the Durban Shopping Fest 2025 is your opportunity to showcase your brand at the ultimate Durban summer shopping experience. Join us from April 25th to the 28th at Durban Exhibition Center, where thousands of shoppers will complete their summer shopping while indulging in a variety of cuisines, all under one roof. Don't miss out on this incredible chance to connect with eager buyers and grow your brand. Limited stalls available. Secure yours today.
The slice of life. Just R9.50 a loaf. More than just bread, it's a lifeline. For only R9.50, you can help feed orphanages, old age homes, and communities in need. Every loaf goes to someone who truly needs it. Share the warmth. Share a slice. Together, we can make a difference. Call Outreach on 031-208-1601.
Tune in to the Feel Good Friday with Bibi, Amina, Phili.
Finally Friday again. Assalamu alaikum.
From South Africa to the world.
Let's go.
Don't miss out on Friday afternoon vibes like no other. Put it on and leave it on. Join us for inspiration and positivity from trailblazing guests to topics you want to hear. Your Friday just got better. Let's make the end of the week better together. Feel Good Friday with Bibi, Amina, Phili. Young, fresh and trending.
Where do we go from here? Look up to the sky, so many shades of you. And I paint the day and night, the beauty of this life, a reflection of you and I, created in different nations and tribes, so we can unite.
Hopping on these planes, got my people in all these places. Passport stamp running out of pages. Linked up with my family, even though we ain't on the same side of the sea. Tribe different than them, we ain't got the same thing.
Of course, it's gone by exactly a few minutes past the hour of 2 Central African time, wherever you are in the world, in your homes or in your cars. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Sanbanani nonke muriwanji daswera mashka mola marhaba and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You know, I always say that I love my Friday afternoons because I get to spend it with you. Of course, Jum'ah Mubarak to you and yours, an exhilarating start to your weekend. It's 90.4 FM in Durban and 105.6 FM in Pietermaritzburg. And if you do not have the app by now, I cannot stress more. You are missing out on all of the great stuff. Of course, you can check us live on Facebook, YouTube, as well as Instagram, inshallah. Now, this week, for the Feel Good Friday, we have two powerful conversations, inshallah. We will be chatting to Dr. Ongama Mtimka about the budget, the ballot, and the bigger picture. What's the real story behind the numbers? And then, inshallah, later on, we will be joined by Mr. Tanaka Dambuda, who will discuss the crucial topic about who is protecting our children. Let's demand justice for our girls and boys, and that's justice for girls, hashtag justice for Kwekwe. You can, of course, tune into both conversations, and let's make the end of the week indeed, of course, better together. You can send your messages through our WhatsApp numbers. That's 0609041056. All that right here for your listening pleasure.
This is the Feel Good Friday with Bibi, Amina, Phili, only on your number one radio station.
Yeah, that's right. The clock strikes. That means it's time for our traffic update.
Feel Good Friday. Traffic updates. Updates that help you plan your day like a boss.
Taking a quick look at what's happening on the roads in and around Durban and Pietermaritzburg. On the N3 westbound towards Durban, expect moderate congestion near the EB Clueta interchange due to ongoing roadworks. And on the Mgeni Road, traffic's flowing smoothly. No major incidents reported. On your N2 northbound, minor delays approaching the Spaghetti Junction. Exercise some caution. And looking at Pietermaritzburg, N3 southbound towards Durban, traffic steady with no significant delays reported. Chatterton Road, clear conditions, no incidents affecting traffic flow. And on your R103, open and operating normally, no disruptions noted. Your weather conditions are mostly cloudy in and around Durban and Pietermaritzburg, with temperatures averaging around 21 degrees Celsius. No adverse weather impacting road conditions at this time. Stay safe, arrive alive. And that's your road roundup for your Feel Good Friday traffic update. I am Asif.
Feel Good Friday. Traffic updates. Updates that help you plan your day like a boss.
This segment is brought to you by Kenfield Auto, your RMI approved service and repair specialist. 236 Brickfield Road, Overport.
Kenfield Auto. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار.
Car won't start?
Kenfield Auto.
Noisy brakes?
Kenfield Auto.
Due for a service?
Kenfield Auto.
Kenfield Auto, the answer to all your car problems. Your service and repair specialist for your VW, Audi, Suzuki, Toyota, or just about any vehicle. Kenfield Auto, your RMI and insurance approved workshop to handle them all. 236 Brickfield Road, Overport. Call us on 031 207 2399. Kenfield Auto.
Topic of the day.
زينت السماء وضعت الجبال أمرت البحار وخلقت الجنان سيرت الكواكب
So I've gone a few minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock Central African time. If you're watching or listening to us, we'd like to welcome you, of course, with open arms. Now, South Africa's 2025 budget has landed, and let's just say not in everyone's cup of rooibos. With a phase VAT increase at its core, the budget has sparked more than just economic debate. It ignites real tension with the so-called unity government. While the ruling coalition calls for fiscal necessity, the Democratic Alliance has pushed back hard, raising red flags about the burden on South Africa's most vulnerable households. So what does it all mean for you and me and Mzansi's economic future? And more importantly, what does it reveal about the fragile dance of power within the political landscape? So today we are peeling back the layers of this budget bombshell with a sharp political lens and some economic context. And I'm joined by Dr. Ongama Mtimka, a political analyst, the acting director at the Raymond Mhlaba Center for Governance and Leadership at the Nelson Mandela University in Gqeberha, Port Elizabeth, who is here to help us make sense of, the money moves, the political chessboards, and the everyday impact of these decisions in our lives. So, Dr. Ngama Mtimka, welcome to the Feel Good Friday, and thank you so much, and thank you, of course, for joining us.
Good afternoon to you and your listeners. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Let's get straight into it. Now, setting the scene for South Africans, let's start on the top. Now, this VAT increase has caused serious political friction. What exactly is being proposed, and why has it become such a flashpoint in the parliament?
The issue with this budget is that it's the first test of the government of national unity. And the questions remained when it was announced whether the political union could survive passing the budget or failing to pass the budget. So the reason there has been a lot of downward movement in the Johannesburg stock exchanges, as well as the currency, holding international issues constant, was the perceptions among investors that the GNU seems to be collapsing as a result of their failure to agree on the budget. So I argue that even more than the numbers themselves, the perceptions about the failure of the GNU is what has driven the frenzy that we saw in terms of the market responses. What it means basically is that, yes, the cost of living for South Africans would be increased if the budget goes through, especially at a time when the adjustments as far as the tax brackets are concerned are not being done in line with inflation. So if I got that correctly in terms of what the Minister of Finance said. So it makes the cost of living a lot higher. They argue that the poor are protected from that high cost of living. But what they forget is the high dependency ratio in South Africa between those who work and those who do not work. And it actually means that everybody suffers when the budget goes high.
From a purely economic standpoint, do you think this increase was necessary, or are there better alternatives the government overlooked?
Government is facing a significant challenge as far as revenue generation is concerned. There's very little fiscal space to raise revenues. We saw, for example, the decline in income tax derived from the mining sector, and that's why the budget is lower than it was. So the revenue target is lower than it was in 2023, while expenditure, remains quite high, because here government needs to ensure that they are spending on key social infrastructure and economic infrastructure. As a result of that, it's running a budget deficit of 4.9% in 24-25, which narrows to 3.3% in 26-27. So there's a balancing act here that the Minister of Finance needed to do, which included ensuring that there are revenue streams that do not upset a huge constituency as far as the investing community is concerned, while at the same time ensuring that government has enough money to sustain some of the expenditure items that are necessary.
But as we focus on the impact on the people, the DA has obviously raised concerns about the impact on the lower income households. How might this VAT hike affect the everyday South African, especially the ones already living on the edge?
I think government makes a significant point about how the poorest of the poor are shielded as far as the VAT increase per se is concerned, that many of the goods that are regular in the food basket or in the basket of in the consumer basket of the poor are zero rated. But I think that when you look at the middle class, whom I think are affected the most by the budget in totality, they will be affected. And if we look at the cash transfers between the middle class and the poor, that's how the poor will be affected, because the middle classes will have less money to spend, and when that happens, the vital cash transfers that happen across these classes become diminished.
But do you think the government's communication around this increase has, been transparent and accessible for, the average citizen to understand what's coming?
The challenge is that you cannot spin facts. So it's a government, I mean, they've tried to communicate issues around the need and the prudence of their approach to fiscal policy, but you can't spin it. It's not, we're in a country where there's high levels of poverty and unemployment and inequality. So there isn't, in fact, in my view, there shouldn't even be an attempt to try and spin, this budget. The issue is that for government to be able to spend the amounts that they want to spend on socio-economic infrastructure and social services, money has to come from somewhere. And it's disappointing to hear that on one level, you have parties that say we want to actually eliminate the VAT hike, but we are prepared to compromise on it if you are willing to do these other political, decisions, which have got nothing to do with actually reducing the cost of living of South Africans. I think that there should be greater transparency among parties that are proposing alternatives in terms of what they point to as the revenue sources for government in order to kind of reduce to replace the VAT increase.
But something quite interesting, and I think we've all seen it, what we've all seen, which is quite interesting. And I think we all saw it, which was the political dynamics and the unity government. Now, this budget seems to have exposed cracks within the unity government. Is this a start to obviously a deeper political instability, or just a started coalition growing pains?
The political instability had been there, and it was triggered by the president passing or signing into law policies which Parliament, the Sixth Parliament, had passed and were awaiting the president's signature. Now, when that happens with the Bella as well as the expropriation bills, the Democratic Alliance felt that it was on the back foot, because it feels that for some reason these laws, and I think that much of this sentiment is misplaced, they feel that these laws are targeted at the white constituency, and they feel that by public perceptions they have lost a lot. So what makes the stakes to be a lot higher about this budget is the fact that it is yet another example of an ANC that is attempting to make decisions in a way that is despite the interests of the others. Well, that's why, from a political point of view, it drove us on a knife's edge and saw the kind of responses that we saw in stock markets, currency markets, and bond markets, for example.
But what does DA's opposition really signal? Is it about the economics, or is it about power play leading up to the next election cycle?
I think it's majorly about power play. I don't think that they are not raising a valid point as far as what are the alternative revenue sources, but their preparedness to sacrifice that for other political gains suggest that this is not just about what they say in the public domain, the issue of what is fiscally prudent, but also about posturing to their own constituency and external stakeholders that they can deliver by providing a countering effect to the power of the ANC.
Absolutely, totally. Now, looking ahead, what do you think or what do you predict will be the long-term implications of this VAT policy, both politically and economically?
So this was the biggest issue that the GNU has faced, and if the reports are anything to go by, that Helen Zille has said that they are going to remain in the government of national unity, I think that what that does is it puts less pressure on President Cyril Ramaphosa to have to deal with them. And this is helping him to deal with internal ructions in the ANC with people where people have called for him to fire DA ministers and do a cabinet reshuffle. I think that where the other risks lie, they lie in the internal party processes, such as, for example, with the ANC, as it goes to its National General Conference, and then after that, it's going to be preparing for its conference. And I think that those succession politics leading to the 27th conference of the ANC are going to be another thing to watch in terms of how sustainable the GNU is going to be going forward.
Indeed. Now, if you had 30 seconds to advise the finance ministry or the unity government right now, what would you say to them?
The finance minister needs to reassure investors that fiscal policy in the final analysis is made on the basis of what is prudent, while political inputs are taken cognizance of. If he gave the impression that it's subject mostly to the political whims, then it's going to put South Africa at a risk of being less trusted. Gandhi, the constitution had envisaged a fiscal process which is both influenced by the politics, but also ultimately determined or judged by a finance minister that acts prudently to make decisions.
Indeed. Now, wrapping up our conversation for this particular afternoon, what's one myth about the national budget you wish the public understood better?
It's the idea that the budget is all about a VAT increase. There's a wider range of things, such as just under $1 trillion in infrastructure investment, which is crucial in order to stimulate the economy. And I'm hoping that the parties in the GNU, along with the administrators in government, are going to create the necessary enabling environment for the private sector to also come in and ensure that that investment by government results in the envisaged growth.
In three words, just to wrap, obviously, the conversation for this particular afternoon, in 3 words, how could you describe the political climate in South Africa right now?
We started off before the GNU as critical but stable. We got stable. We're back to critical but stable.
Dr. Ngama Mtimka, thank you so much for joining us today on the Feel Good Friday, hoping that we can get you on in future.
I hope that made a lot of your listeners feel good.
Always. Well, of course, it's 90.4 FM in Durban and 105.6 FM in Peter Maritzburg. That was Dr. Ongama Mtimka, political analyst, and has many under his belt as well. Let's go for a short ad break, and when we come back, inshallah, we will be chatting to an individual. But so, whether you're driving home or finishing up work or just trying to keep up the every shifting rhythm of South African politics, remember this is a budget, and this budget isn't just about numbers. It's about people. It's about priorities. And most of all, it's about power. Now, today's VAT increase isn't just an economic move. It's reflecting the tension, choices, and the values of those in charge. Up next, we speak to Mr. Tanaka Dambura. And as we ask the critical question of who is really protecting our children, we unpack the heart of the Justice for Twekwe movement movement and the broader call for justice for girls across our nation. There's still so much more to uncover on this Feel Good Friday, so don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
This is the Feel Good Friday with Bibi, Amina, Phili, only on your #1 radio station.
Able to disable. Give the gift of giving. Every step matters. For many, mobility is a dream. This drive provides wheelchairs and walkers to those who need them most. Your generosity can restore independence, dignity, and freedom. Help us bring the joy of movement to someone today. Together, we can transform lives. Donate now. Empower the disabled. Call outreach on 031 208 1601.
اللهم إنك ترى ما نزل بنا في غزة من الأحوال يا ذا الجلال والعزة يا ذا الجبروت والعزة اللهم أعز أهل غزة اللهم فرج عن أهل غزة اللهم فرح أهل غزة اللهم انصر أهل غزة اللهم داو جريحهم اللهم اشف مريضهم اللهم اقبل شهيدهم اللهم ارحم ميتهم اللهم كفف جراحاتهم وبرد آلامهم اللهم واجعل لهم وللمسلمين فرجا قريبا يا الله اللهم فرج عنا وعن المسلمين في كل مكان اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين واخذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداء الدين يا رب العالمين سبحانك سبحانك ترى الظالمين فتمهلهم حتى يظنوا أنك تهملهم وتبتلي الصالحين في الدنيا حتى يستيئسوا فإن استيئسوا أتيتهم بنصرهم اللهم إنك تعلم أن جراحات المسلمين كثيرة وآلامهم كثيرة في كل مكان وفي كل زمان اللهم فانصرنا على أعدائنا يا الله اللهم فثبت أقدامنا يا الله.
Tune in to the Feel Good Friday with Bibi, Amina, Phili.
It's finally Friday again. Assalamu alaikum.
From South Africa to the world.
Let's go.
Don't miss out on Friday afternoon vibes like no other. Put it on and leave it on. Join us for inspiration and positivity from trailblazing guests to topics you want to hear. Your Friday just got better. Let's make the end of the week better together. Feel Good Friday with Bibi, Amina, Phili. Young, fresh and trending.
You came to me in that hour.
And indeed, we welcome you back, and you're tuned into the Feel Good Friday and ready for our interview number 2. Now, the weeks in South Africans, across the country, were shaken by the story of a young girl, just 7 years old, allegedly assaulted at the Bergview College. The hashtag Justice for Kwekwe has erupted on social media. And not only that, on the streets, uniting parents, educators, and citizens in a singular cry for justice and protection. The outrage has been obviously widespread that the Department of Education has moved to register the school entirely. A bold but necessary step, but beyond that, beyond the immediate headlines, there is a deeper issue at stake. And how do we protect our children in spaces that are meant to be safe, that are schools, institutions, and learning environments? Joining me in today's, of course, the discussion is someone who has dedicated his work to answering exactly that question. Mr. Takana Dambura is a respected child's rights activist and a lecturer at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and we're going to unpack the deeper layers of this movement. Now, understand that the systems that are failing our children and what exactly are the real accountability or what it looks like, not just for one school, but across the country. So, of course, joining me on the line, we welcome Mr. Tanaka Dambura. Welcome to the Feel Good Friday, and thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me today.
It's only a pleasure. But let's begin with the justice for Kwekwe case. What was your initial reaction when you heard about what happened at the Bergview College?
This case is one of those cases, like many other South Africans. I was horrified. My heart was broken. It's also still infuriating that there hasn't been any justice yet towards the family and as well as the girl. So what it gives us in broad is that there is betrayal of trusts with institutions and as well as parents. And I can see that there's been a lot of mishandling by the school and the delays in the police investigations, which gives us or which shows us a reminder of how vulnerable children are in these systems, especially when we fail to give them justice when it's needed. So what I have is just beyond the legal dimensions, we are struck with sheer failure of duty by institutions entrusted with helping children. But I think with what the community has done and taking actions and also demonstrating, having the hashtag spread, I think it shows that we might be moving in the right direction.
I think, you be having a bit of a feedback from your side. Perhaps maybe if you could put the maybe the volume low behind your end so that we can hear you crystal clear on our side. But why do you think this particular case has resonated so strongly with the public? What makes it different from similar stories we've been before or seen before?
This case has reignited urgent calls for improved access to justice, for rape survivors and rape accountability in terms of sexual violence crimes in South Africa. This is not the only case that we have. This is an ongoing thing. It's more like a national flashpoint because it combines many elements that are including institutional negligence and vulnerability of children in school spaces. So it has exposed not just one incident, but a culture, an entire system where silence and inaction have prevailed for too long.
But the Department of Education responded by deregistering the school. Do you see this as a strong precedent, or is it a symbolic act that must be followed by more systematic change?
The decision by the Eastern Cape Department of Education is double-sided. On one side, you would say that that initial move of deregistering Bergview College was a bold signal in trying to prioritize the safety of children. However, on the other hand, we must be able to look that such kind of decision also of deregistering the whole school has an impact on children, because remember, the same school is also other children, which we seem now to punish also for the failure of the school to take out right away when it occurred. So instead, the department should have taken a proactive step to deal with this matter and also to hold those accountable to the whatever, it could be any other law, but they could be held responsible for this case.
Now let's talk system failing children. In your experience as obviously a child rights activist, where are the key gaps in our system when it comes to protecting our children, especially in private institutions?
So when you look at the South African legal system, we are signatories to many international instruments and regional instruments. For example, we have your United Nations Conventions of Rights of Child, African Charter on the Rights of Welfare of the Child, your Convention of Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, the Protocol to African Charter on Human and People's Rights on Rights of Women in Africa, which is usually referred to as the Maputo Protocol. All these laws and policies that we have, they prevent sexual violence in South Africa. However, we still seem to have the same problem over and over. We also have our local laws, such as your constitution, the child rights. They actually try and put the child's interest as the paramount importance in any matter concerning a child. But when we look at this matter, would we say that the child's best interest was put forward? That will come up with different issues. We also have your Criminal Law, Sexual Offences and Related Matters Act of 2007, which outlines different sexual offences and sexual nature, defining rape in like broader term. And we also have the prescription of civil and criminal matters, sexual offences, which tried to allow all sexual offences to be prosecuted regardless of the year. But with all this, our national policies and our national laws, we still have a problem with the enforcement part, right? When we have this kind of cases, with the failure to take children's voices seriously, and many children are silenced, they are disbelieved, they are re-traumatized when they speak. We having a failure in terms of the system to enforce all these laws and to protect these children. We need also a system that expedites justice and accountability in children, and also to make sure that we hold the perpetrators accountable.
Many parents assume schools are safe zones. What policies or protections should be non-negotiable in every school, regardless of its funding or ownership?
Right now in South Africa, we have what we refer to as the National Register for Sex Offenders, which was established in terms of the Criminal Law Amendment Act of 2007, where all sex offenders are registered in the National Register for Sex Offenders. And we have a problem that most of these institutions that have children and also deal with children, persons with disabilities, they are not submitting their names when they maybe try and employ these people. They're not submitting their names so that they can be vetted. So we need a system where there's rigorous staff vetting to make sure that we check the background, and we also ensure re-vetting to ensure that there's no history of abuse among the employees. We must also have mandatory reporting protocols which are clear and immediate, which provide reporting the suspected abuse, or whistleblowers protection is actually also available. We must also have child-centered safety, where annual training for all staff on recognizing abuse, trauma response, and legal obligations is actually taken into consideration. Then we must have clear disciplinary procedures. Most of the times we just hear that the educator or the staff member has been dismissed, but without proper disciplinary procedures. They must be enforced through unannounced inspections and heavy power nutters, where the department can just show up at the school, check if all the employees have been vetted, is the child-centered safety training, have they been mandatory reporting protocols so that they can be able to be held accountable. If they fail to do that, there must be heavy penalties against these institutions.
I know you spoke about vetting and going to schools and seeing if they have perhaps adequate training. Do you believe that educators and school staff receive adequate training in child safeguarding and trauma-informed care? If not, what needs to change in South Africa?
I don't think that there is enough training, especially with regards to this topic. Mostly when we have this kind of conversation, you find that these training are only done once in a while. They're sporadic, they are more theoretical, and they are not tailored to the real world scenarios. Like, for example, what happened, these are real world scenarios. This is what we should use as examples in these workshops and in this training, right? Many educators lack comprehensive training in child safeguarding and trauma-informed care. And we do not have a well-standardized mandatory course integrated into the teacher certificate. By now, looking at South Africa's statistics, we must have a standardized mandatory course integrated into the educator certificate so that they are aware of these kind of things. Educators need to understand how trauma manifests in children and how we can respond sensitively to these matters, safeguarding these children and making sure that their rights and they feel their rights are protected and they feel protected in institutions.
Now, moving on to justice, trauma, and accountability, how can justice be served not only legally but emotionally and socially, especially for Kwekwe and the other children like her who have suffered abuse?
In terms of justice, let's look at it at a multi-dimensional level, all right? Where when we look at it from the legal accountability, we also consider that is very vital, especially right now where we have the public or the community acting. There must be public acknowledgement of harm. The community-led restorative justice initiatives and methods that are used by the community, which includes your hashtags, must be taken into consideration. Now, when you look at that part, we must be able to hold the institution accountable through policy reforms. We're not supposed to be quiet right now. we're supposed to be also looking at our police to see how can we be able to avoid this, because it's not only going to be Kwekwe today, there is always going to be another child again tomorrow. So when we look at this, we also need to societal healing, right? Which means breaking the stigma around speaking out. Our children should be able to speak out, creating community support systems, which allows all the survivors not to carry this burden alone, but not to be shamed by such kind. That must be able to speak up, and we must be able to give them. Then also on the police and so on, we must be able to have swift, transparent investigations with specialized units like your SAPS family violence, child protection, sexual offences act unity, and then we ensure that evidence is preserved and suspects are thoroughly vetted. So when we also look at the family and the girl, they must get proper counseling. This is not something that can just go away. It's something that has haunted the family, and it must be dealt with. The state must be able to intervene and provide services that will make sure that the family is also been given a chance to heal.
I know you spoke a little bit about community. What role should community members and civil society play when institutions fail? How do we move from outrage to action in a sustainable way?
Communities must move beyond protest to sustained actions. So, for example, right now we have an outraged community, but in that outraged community, we can be able to create an organized advocacy where the community can form parent watchdog groups, partner with NGOs to monitor school environments, demand transparency from institutions. Civil society must also lobby for policy reforms. They are part of this system. They must be able to provide other ways that this can be handled. Then also we need to provide legal support to victims and keep the conversation going long after the headlines. Because most of the times such headlines, they'll come this week. Next week, there'll be something else. We follow these all things fade with time. But if we keep these kind of community-based advocates or community-organized advocates, then these topics can.
All right, I think we seem to have lost Mr. Tanaka there as well, but making some very, very fervent and very interesting points. And I'm just going to try my best to just move on. Perhaps maybe he can hear me right now. But Mr. Tanaka, for parents listening today, how can they become more involved and more informed about what's happening in their child's life at schools?
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Let me just repeat that question for you. For parents listening today, how can they become more involved and more informed about what's happening in their child's school?
So parents should be able to ask questions, which includes knowing who's teaching their child, what are the policies in place. Most of the times when our child gets a place at a school, we do not ask these questions. We just assume that the school will deal with that. But as a parent, you must be involved. This includes you being engaged with school governance structures, be present in meetings, join school governing bodies, actively participate in school policy making, attend workshops on child protection and GBV warning signs. This helps you to have an idea of how the school is going and also how your child is safe at that school. Then also talk to your child often, right? Create a safe space for them to share their fears. We must be able to hear our children. And the good thing about children, sometimes they'll say all the things that happened during the day. When you ask them, how was the school? How did you do this? You ask them more questions. They'll tell you a lot of things. You may be able to pick up some other things that might not be consistent or that might be upsetting, that you can be able to check with other parents. That also brings us about to talk about the issue of collaboration with other parents, right? When you collaborate with other parents, we are able to ask other parents other questions, and also they're able to look at our after our child when we are not there.
Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about change, because everything is all about evolution and changing. If you were tasked with drafting a child protection charter for South African schools, what 3 pillars would you absolutely include?
Right now, what I would push forward is issues of transparency and accountability. It's something that we have seen that it's lacking in our policies, especially in institutions. We need clear mechanism to report, investigate, and act on abuse. We can't keep on going like this as a nation. Then we also must have training that is mandatory in safeguarding and trauma-informed care for all school personnel, which includes our educators. Any other staff must be able to have this kind of training. Then in terms of our communities and in the institution as well, there must be child agency, which is a mechanism that is empowered in trying to make children speak up and be heard. Most of children that are out there that have faced a similar situation, they may have not been able to be given an option, or a chance to be heard, or they fear to speak on those kind of matters. We must have broader systematic change to tackle South African high prevalence on rape, and also be able to work on our conviction rates, which is very low, based on a number of factors, which includes your lack of evidence and delaying by the police, which the case always ends up being thrown out of the court because the case took forever and there was not enough evidence, and some of the things we are witnessing right now.
But what I want to know from you is what gives you hope in this fight? Are we seeing any progress in how society views and prioritizes children's rights?
I think this case is one of the cases that you can say there is progress, because when you see public reactions like this, it shows that people are no longer silent. We are now seeing young people lead movements. I've seen a number of videos on Twitter, or now it's X, on Instagram, on Facebook, where children are actually taking lead. And we have communities that are demanding better, right? So in itself, this movement is a sign of progress. South Africa is no longer silent about GBVs and child abuse. There is a growing awareness that children's rights are not a luxury, they are foundational to our society. That means that as much as it might not be moving towards what we want, or might not be where we want right now, there is some form of progress.
But finally, Mr. Dambura, what message would you want Kwekwe to hear if she was listening to this conversation today?
What I would say is to Kwekwe is, you are not alone. What happened to you is not your fault. The community has sparked a movement that will protect many other children, and they are fighting for you not just in courtrooms, but in classrooms, policies, and public discourse. And for us to be having this conversation today, it shows that we are looking for justice for you. You are seen and you are heard. We will not stop until justice has been served for you and all other children that have actually experienced this kind of situations. So we need change that is real and lasting. You deserve to heal and dream, and you need to know that your voice matters.
Mr. Tanaka Dambura, thank you so much for your time today, hoping that we can get you on the Feel Good Friday again.
Thank you so much. It was an honor having me.
All right. It's 90.4 FM in Durban and 105.6 FM in Pietermaritzburg. Now, let this conversation remind us that justice is not just about headlines, hashtags, or even legal documents. It's about making sure every child feels safe, heard, and protected, not just in the moment of crisis, but every single day. So thank you, Mr. Dambura, for your voice, your wisdom, and your fight for children's future. Let's step away for a short ad break, just enough time for you to grab, of something warm. When we come back, we will be wrapping up today's Feel Good Friday with your girl, Bibi, Amina, Phili. Stay with us. You won't want to miss out on our final thoughts.
This is the Feel Good Friday with Bibi, Amina, Phili, only on your #1 radio station.
When you give water, you're reaching out to drought-affected areas, bringing them to life. Fresh water to drink, to clean, and to grow. That's the power of water. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
J.Junaid Jamshed brings you Super Sale with flat 50% and flat 20% off. Avail the most exciting offers from 17th April to 27th April 2025. Visit our store at 222 Felix Dilmani Road, Overport, or shop online at za.junaiddjamshed.com.
With 49 years of experience in the motoring industry, Metro Car Sales has been proudly serving you since 1976. Need a great deal on your next car? We've got you covered. We offer in-house finance arranged in 1 hour. So, what are you waiting for? Call us now on 033 3942 595. Visit us today at number 1 Boshoff Street, Peter Maritzburg. You can also check out our amazing deals online at www.metrocars.co.za. Metro Car Sales, your number 1 dealer in wheels.
You know what really gets under my skin? When my cake or icing just doesn't come out right. It's such a bummer. But I found this incredible margarine called Wooden Spoon, and it's been a total lifesaver for my baking adventures. It makes my icing turn out just perfect every time. When I whip up something with Wooden Spoon, I feel like a master baker. Seriously, my cakes have never looked better. The secret? Wooden Spoon margarine. It's like the magic ingredient for nailing those perfect bakes. And guess what? It's even endorsed by the South African Bakers Guild Association. Just another quality product from the Willowton Group.
Tune in to the Feel Good Friday with Bibi, Amina, Phili.
It's finally Friday again. Assalamu alaikum.
From South Africa to the world.
Let's go.
Don't miss out on Friday afternoon vibes like no other. Put it on and leave it on. Join us for inspiration and positivity from trailblazing guests to topics you want to hear. Your Friday just got better. Let's make the end of the week better together. Feel Good Friday with Bibi, Amina, Phili. Young, fresh and trending.
You know me more than I know myself. You love me more than I love myself. So I'm begging, begging, begging. I can't take his whispers. I need you to help me. So I'm begging, begging, begging. When I'm falling, you always catch my phone. When I'm calling, you always take my call. So I'm begging, begging, begging. I can't take this dunya. I need you to save me. So I'm begging, begging, begging. Ya Rabbi,
It is exactly 55 minutes till we say Assalamu alaikum to you. But for now, we are reading those messages. So we have a message, in fact, a voice note that comes from this. Take a listen.
Assalamu alaikum, Jum'ah Mubarak.
Jum'ah Mubarak to you as well, Anonymous. Thank you so much for that heartwarming Jum'ah Mubarak. So we have more, obviously, messages coming through in regards to the topics that we had today. So it says here, so squeeze the money out of the working class and the rich just get richer and the poorer just get poorer. Infrastructure, that's who's getting the tenders for. Why aren't we as a nation being consulted? Where's the democracy? They are just lining their pockets more. Absolutely beautiful message there as well. Thank you for that. I'm not too sure who is that, who the message is from, but we appreciate your contribution. Another message comes through here. It says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Unless we fix municipalities and government ministries, nothing will change regarding the budget. Jazakallah for taking my opinion. Ameen. In addition, how can people consider having a cup of rooibos when their taps are running dry? Minister of Finance must address the political 92 fruitless and wasteful expenditure. The GNU is the people's gatepost, and it is the beginning to prove its effectiveness. But the majority party still believes it can steamroll to the benefit, or rather to benefit a few at the expense of the majority who didn't vote for them into power. Pray for 2026. We will be the turning point for the local government, inshallah. And that was from Rahiman. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that contributions. You can also get your words in on our WhatsApp number. That's 060-904-1056. And just like that, we have reached the end of another Feel Good Friday. Whether you were heading home, winding down, or just finding your rhythm again, remember to carry peace in your words, purpose in your steps, and gratitude in your heart. Until next time, I am Bibi Amina Phili, wishing you light, love, and a weekend full of meaning. Stay safe, stay kind, and keep it locked to Radio Al Ansar. Until next week, same time, same place. Assalamu alaikum.